Well, today is Friday. As you know, this is the start of the weekend, but however, we like to do things differently. So today we're going to be reviewing, finally, I got my hands to watch on this Lucha Libre AAA with Triple Mania 30 Chapter 3. This took place recently on the 15th of October. We had a lot of championships taking place and all this and that. We cannot forget AEW Rampage in Jacksonville and of course NXT Level Up. So we're going to see who levels up on this week. But also we got some news updates, what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, let's begin with AAA, Lucha Libre, with Triple Mania 30 Chapter 3. Now, if you guys wondering why it's called Chapter 3, was because we had three Triple Manias throughout the entire year. And this one took place on the 15th of December. They had a very interesting ceremony, opening ceremony that I don't know if the other one, I think the other ones did had something similar, but yes, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Not to mention, after the ceremony, they received a very interesting message from none other than 619 himself, Rey Mysterio. If you guys know this, I'm from San Diego. Yes, he actually delivered a message. As you know, AAA celebrates 30 years of their history, not to mention all the Triple Mania shows they ever had in the last 30 years. Now, our opening match is a number one contendership for the AAA World Tag Team titles. Now, keep in mind, FTR currently holds those titles, so this match will determine who will be the ones to obtain it. We have team number one, we have Commander with Mestizos Jr. versus Los Vipers, Latigo and Toxin versus Aries, who recently was kicked out from the Vipers, teams up with Willie Mack, and then finally Los Hermanos Lee, Dragon Lee, and Dralistico. Now, I have to say this group are great, but to be fair, I was kind of rooting for Los Hermanos Lee. The reason is they have been on the top of the world, not only as singles competitors, but as tag team. So they were the ones that picked up a good victory in this win when they Dralistico applied like an underhook power driver onto Latigo, giving them the number one contendership. However, still no indication when will that day take place. So we'll figure it out. I'll be keeping apprised to what AAA does. Now our next match, we have the Reinas de Reinas Championship. We have, of course, our current NWA Women's World Champion Camille taking on the champion herself, Taya Valkyrie. As you know, this is one of those matches where, Camille wants to be double champion. I thought this was a pretty good, brutal match, but however, it was of course Taya Valkyrie with the camel clutch that sealed the deal for her to retain the title. Now, keep in mind, Taya Valkyrie will be facing Camille at Hard Time, so we'll see what happens then. So if the story remains where Camille remains, and that's interesting. Now, as I mentioned, it was 30 years of Triple Mania. Conan comes out to do a promo to talk about his history, but it appears someone who hates Conan decided to make an appearance to deal with him and talk about what a load of crap he is. And that is, of course, Cybernetico. Now, these two guys hate each other completely. They've been back and forth on every level. Now, Later, they didn't even allow him to speak, so they beat the crap out of him, left him for dead in the ring. So basically, sending a clear message to him. Now, our next match is a for the AAA World Trios Tag Team titles. Now, this is a very interesting dynamic. Now, the order to win the match, this was a three-way. You have to pin the tag champions. If not, then if you won the match but without pinning the tag champions, you're not the champions at all. So we have Brian Cage, Sam Adonis, and Johnny Caballero, also known as Johnny Impact, Johnny Nacho, John Morrison, taking on Bandito, Laredo Kid, and Psycho Clown to take on the champions Nuevo Generacion de Manita, with El Cuatro, oh no, Cuartero, uh, Free Samson, and this other dude, I forgot his name. As you know, they are the current champions. Now, they won these titles from La Empresa, which some Donis was involved with, DMT Azul, and what's his name, Puma King. But apparently, that match ended with them winning. However, Sam Adonis continued on to find new tag partners, feeling that these guys failed him. But this match ended with, of course, a low blow by Johnny to Psycho Clown, but they did not officially win these tag titles. So basically, La Nueva Generacion remain as champions, but however, they are the victors of the match. Next match, it was announced for for the AAA Hall of Fame. They inducted Blue Demon Jr. Now, this guy is, he is the adopted son of the original Blue Demon Jr., Blue Demon. Their biological children did not want nothing to do with him, but he continued on with his adopted father's legacy, which is good. So I'm sure his father is looking down on him, how proud he is he's accomplished. Now, our next match is a hair versus hair match. We have Cibernetico versus Pagano. Now, this feud between them, it's all about respect. Now, Cibernetico feels that Pagano is not getting the respect from Pagano. Pagano feels the same way, the opposite with Cibernetico. So it's all about pride. So, but this match was brutal. Not to mention, those Vipers try to help their leader to make sure things go his way, but no. Apparently, it did not go exactly like Cibernetico wanted, but it ended with, of course, Pagano going through the stage. But however, when the referee was looking down, he made the three count. But the obvious question, who made the three count? No one saw. But however, the person who walked up was Pagano, and he was declared as the victor. And that means Cibernetico had to. That's right, get his head shaved. But there's no doubt in my mind that Cibernetico will be getting his revenge against him. Now, our next match, I have to say, this is one of the most oppressive, brutal matches for the AAA Mega Championship. Now, this is the top title of AAA. We have Rey Fenix taking on Hijo Del Vikingo. I have to say, it was a pretty interesting match. They even did a lot of high flying, a lot of spots in this particular match. But one thing it was insane is how they were taking this outside between them. But however, it was, of course, Hijo Vikingo with the inverted 450 splash that sealed the deal for him to retain the title. So it's still unclear who will be his next challenger, and we'll be seeing who. As you know, there was a reason they were hoping that maybe Kenny Omega will be pursuing this title, but we just don't know yet because of his legal issues with what just took place at the backstage altercation at All Out. So we'll see what happens. Now, our final match is the Reta del Muerte, which is basically they had this tournament who will be the ones to lose their mask in the finals. It ended with Villano 4 and Pentagon Jr. I was like insane. Not to mention times they've been ripping off their mask, but it was, of course, with the arm breaker that sealed the deal for Penta to win the match, and not only that, win the mask of Villano 4. So it's not any. If you guys ever understood the culture of Lucha Libre, when a wrestler loses his mask, it loses his pride, his identity. Some wrestlers try to continue on by using the same name, but sometimes there's no successful. If you want proof of that, look at Andrade. He was known as La Sombra. He couldn't get success without his mask. There's Volador. He has found success, but not in a big way, but he was able to overcome it. So that kind of sets things. So I thought the show was great. I enjoyed every match. But yeah, so that's pretty much what happened in AAA with Triplemania 30, Chapter 3. So I believe we should be moving on with AEW Rampage. Okay, AEW Rampage. It opened up with the AEW World Tag Team titles on the line, but this is more of that. It was titles versus trademark. Now, if you guys remember a week ago, Mark Sterling was able to obtain the trademark rights to the scissors. That normally Acclaim does this, but however, he's using this to blackmail Acclaim to give Woods and Neese a shot of the tag team titles. So basically, they had to go through that. So you can probably guess that Neese and Woods did everything in their power to take down the Acclaim. It did not. It did allow for them to win the match, not to mention Sterling to stir things up with Billy in order for the ref to kick him out. It did not work either. He received a mic drop, but however, they gave Mark Sterling the scissors and they retained the titles and also got back their trademark. So it's Scissor Me Daddy. So that's what it was. Now, Jade Cargill, as you know, she's not a happy camper. As you remember and recall, what's her name? uh, Nyla Rose stole her belt. Yeah, stole her belt as a way of trying to take back what is hers. Basically, reclaiming that she is the champion. So basically, there was a match that took place involving Will Nagel. So Layla Gray was integrated into that. So basically, thought to be savior of the show. But however, Jade is not happy. She wants her belt back. So that was the whole story of the case. Now, in times we have seen Eddie Kingston, he is not in the right mood. He's always been pissed off, angry. So there was like a somewhat of an intervention with Ortiz and the Lucha brothers. And Alex Brahamontes have talked that he needs to control his temper. But Pac, oh my God. He had to say some things that felt uncomfortable. Even Ortiz says, I did not invite him. And I believe him. Now, our FTW title match, we have Ari Daivari along with Jeeves K taking on Hook. Now, Ari has gave Hook a $50,000 check in order to buy the FTW title, but however, Hook ripped it. Then he tried to buy him out. Now, Ari Daivari tried everything. Now, the only reason Hook did not take the payout was simple. This is a family heirloom. His dad created this title. You think he was willing to give that up? Hell no. But he is willing to put the title on no matter what. That's who Hook is. But Ari Daivari did have some shots against him. It did not work. He did ended up with the red rum, and then of course he tapped out. But he wasn't the only one. So Jeeves K also got 99 with the red rum, and he was lying there like a dead duck. So 99 Jeeves. Now, we do get an interview with, of course, the firm, more consistently with Stokely Hathaway and Ethan Page, trying to separate Matt Hardy and Private Party away from each other, trying to remove whatever the Hardy. But however, Hardy was sent to Dark in Elevation, trying to keep him in the lower class. But however, he said something to piss off Stokely that made him walk away like a little girl. So he kind of rapped into it, but I thought it was classic. Now, our next match, we have Layla Gray along with Kara Hogan taking on Will Nightingale. I thought this match was awesome. Not to mention, we know that Kara Hogan was going to interfere, but it didn't work. But it was Will Nightingale with the Dr. Bomb that sealed the deal. But however, that wasn't the biggest surprise. It was now foretold that Will Nightingale is now all elite. And we couldn't be happier. I was hoping when that day was coming. Ever since watching Will Nightingale coming to AEW, I felt she should be signed. I mean, she earned it. I mean, she was a team player. She did all the work. I have to say that's always been what I enjoyed. But however, that doesn't end there. Of course, Jade Cargill shows up, demanding Nyla Rose to give her belt back. But however, it appears that Nyla Rose had other plans. She just started singing "Jay," and I thought it was so funny. But not only that, she even stole her car that was on valet. And Jade was not a happy camper. Even security tried to tell her she needs to leave, but she punched security. I wouldn't be surprised if security files a lawsuit against her, but that'll be a funny thing to watch. Now, uh, then we have our next. Uh, then we have a little interesting interview that we saw. Now, we were supposed to have 10 versus Roosh. If 10 wins, Roosh leaves him alone. But however, Orange Cassidy did, I don't know if it was a smart thing, he integrated himself in their business and decided to put the All Atlantic title on the line. Which, of course, you don't see this, but there's a video where it said that Tony booked it. Um, Tony Khan booked it, and it went through. So I thought this match was great. 10 being there, Rush and Orange Cassidy, but of course Danhausen was there by the corner. But Jose, oh my God, we know he was going to interfere, but he got kicked, sucker punched in the nuts by Danhausen, and of course he got cursed by it. But of course, Orange Cassidy was able to pick up the win with a roll up on 10 to retain the title. So I thought it was great. So Orange Cassidy won and retained the title. So I can't wait to see what's gonna happen this coming Wednesday and next Friday. So also stay tuned for the news updates. We got some interesting developments with AEW, and I think everybody's gonna love it. So let's move on with NXT Level Up. Okay, who levels up on NXT Level Up? So let's get started on that. Ikemenjiro takes on Miles Bourne. Now, keep in mind, Ikemenjiro is a very unique wrestler, as I've always mentioned, but he's facing a wrestler with a very interesting life. As you know, Miles Bourne is a wrestler who's deaf. Now, this is going to be interesting. Now, Miles Bourne has been on a roll with two impressive matches back to back in 2 weeks. So this kind of tells us, okay, how is he going to do with a well accomplished wrestler like Ikemenjiro? Well, that's obvious. Good question. I mean, Ikemenjiro did everything in his power to take him out, but however, it was Miles Bourne that sealed the deal when he rolled him up and 1, 2, 3 major upset. And of course, Ikemenjiro was in disbelief that he couldn't believe that happened, but he did show some respect to Miles Bourne over his loss. Now, Javier Bernal, as you know, he's a dumb idiot who likes to claim that he is better than that with a big mouth. He says that his opponent for the main event, Andre Chase, will be receiving a teachable moment. Well, we'll see about that, because I have a feeling he's the one who's going to give the teachable moment. Now, our next match, we have Duke Hudson versus Bryson Montana. Now, a week or two ago, these two were tag teams. However, the match did not go exactly their way. Basically, Duke Hudson walked away, let Bryson Montana get the fall, in which it took place exactly like that. But, however, things did not go exactly according to plan. But I have to say, Bryson Montana did put up a good fight, because he showed, how he's willing to keep moving forward. But it was the big boot by Duke Hudson that allowed him to seal the deal and win the match. Now, our main event is the Javier Bernal versus Andre Chase. Now, you know that Javier Bernal will do anything to get a mouthful, try to get the attention, but he's facing a guy who has momentum, who knows how to work the ring very well, and that's Andre Chase. But of course, it was the body splash that sealed the deal for Andre Chase to win the match. I thought it was a pretty good one. I think it was a good one. Possibly, hopefully, Javi Bernal gets better at it. some point soon. But I think that's pretty much it what we have for NXT Level Up. So let's move on with our last thing, news updates. Okay, welcome to our news updates. So we have GCW updates going on, two of them. Hit them up, as you know, takes place on the 29th in LA. Blake Christian will be in the ring against none other than, where do you think you're going? That's right, Flip Gordon. So that's going to be one killer match. We have Aurora that takes place on the 20th of November in Providence, Rhode Island. It was announced that Sawyer Brett will be in present there, so that is also a good thing. Now for our JCW Jersey Championship Wrestling, for their upcoming event series of Survival on the 19th, we're gonna have Jonathan Gresham versus Cole Bradrick. I'm so excited for that match. Now, interesting news coming from the Lucha, the Bollywood Boyz, said that they are leaving the door open in case if WWE wants to, you know, rehire them. As you know, because of the new regime that's been going on, that's a possibility. But however, they said that they are good assets for any company. So basically, we recently saw them in AEW, but they lost that match. But they're right. I mean, they could be a perfect asset. Now, if you guys are big fans of AAA, you may have heard the news that Hijo Del Vikingo has announced that he has secured his U.S. work visa. So that means we will be seeing him more often in the U.S. I wouldn't be surprised if he'll be heading to GCW or any other locations, or perhaps probably AEW. That's one thing that I know for sure we will see. Now, interesting moves has been made coming from NXT. This was reported by, of course, Wrestling Observer. Shawn Michaels has announced for a big event later on called Deadline, and this is going to take place on the 10th of December, which incidentally, this is where, of course, Final Battle by Ring of Honor will be taking place. I'm sure people are going to say this, oh, we're going to reignite it. So I don't know, have a clue, but we'll see what happens then. If I was going to watch one, I'm definitely going to watch Ring of Honor first. Now, if you recall, recently Wilton Nightingale was supposed to have gone to Tokyo Pro, but due to the fact that she was unable to get a work visa, now she finally gets that. A match was announced for later on this month on the 29th. She'll be teaming up with Yuka Sakazaki, our current champion, taking on Yuki Kamifuku and Maki Ito. Yep, that's going to be one killer match. Now, last time I talked about Circle 6, there were some circumstances that became critical. Turns out that La Estrella will not be able to be at Houston for everything you couldn't be. So their talk about his replacement is going to be Jake Crist. Now, I saved this one for last for several reasons. Now, AEW, if you guys know this, some people have announced that we got some Japanese wrestlers making their way to AEW. Most specifically, Dark Elevation. SB Kento will be making his debut, and so is La Estrella. I'm so excited. So that's going to be on AEW Dark. But however, the most interesting news, if you guys are big fans of this girl, this Joshi wrestler, and you guys better tell your friends, spread the word. Jungle Kiona will also be making her debut with AEW on Dark and Dynamite. I'm so excited, but one of her opponents is none other than Riho. I am so happy with that. I'm so happy. Now, you probably wouldn't think they're not going to get Rio. Well, get Jungle Kiona. Well, they did. I'm so happy for that. I kind of had a feeling it could work, but we'll see what happens then. So, Jungle Kiona, can't wait to see her. So I think that's pretty much it with our news update. So I believe it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we got Choco Pro. I think this is 263, I believe. And of course, NWA USA. I'll be releasing those on a separate video due to the fact that I will be heading to the movies. later on in the day because I'm going to be watching Black Adam and I can't wait to see it. So, if there's anything else, I'll put something else too. And I think that's pretty much it for what we got. So, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.